Hey, what's up, people? So, for today's game, we have a very special game. We have Gary Kasparov against Veselin Topalov,
Yeah, boy.
and this was in 1999. And apparently, this game was called Gary Kasparov's Immortal game. So, let's figure that out. So, we have Gary Kasparov playing white and Topalov playing black, and Kasparov started with e4, and Topalov played d6, which is the perk defense. So we have d4 by Kasparov, Nf6, knight c3, g6, bishop e3. So white's plan immediately is to play queen d2 and then attack by playing bishop h6, which is a very normal line whenever black plays g6 and wants to develop his bishop on g7. So we have bishop g7, queen d2, c6, and f3. So here white's plan is to strengthen the center, strengthen the e4 pawn, as well as avoid moves like knight g4. So then we have b5. So over here white has the option of castling on the queen side, so black is preventing that, because if white does castle, then you have a5 and b4 and black gains tempo. So in order to avoid that, black plays b5, and he is fighting for the center as well. So then we have knight e2, developing the knight. We have knight d7. So Kasparov doesn't wait any longer, so he plays bishop h6. So Topalov captures, queen captures. So over here you can see that the white queen is in a good position and prevents black from castling, but Topalov already had decided that he was not going to castle on the king side. So we have bishop e7, a3 in order to prevent b4, and then we have e5. So here black's plan is, this bishop right now is dead at the moment. So in order to liberate the bishop, black wants to give some breathing room. So in order for that, he's attacking for the center, and in due time he would want to play c5 as well. So we have white castling. We have queen e7. So black is also getting ready to castle on the queen side. So king b1, king is just moving to a much safer square. And then we have a6. So as I said before, black is threatening c5. So in order to protect the b5 pawn, he has played a6 as well. So now Kasparov played knight c1. So over here you can see that Kasparov wants his knight to come over to b3 and then over to a5, which is a pretty good square, and which is basically unavoidable by black. So black castles. We have knight b3 as planned, and his next move would be knight a5, attacking the bishop. So then we have pawn captures, rook captures, and then we have c5, and all of a sudden this bishop now has some breathing room. So rook comes back to d1. Then we have knight b6. So black is also threatening to play e5 next. So then we have g3. So apparently Kasparov took around 10 to 12 minutes to play g3. So his plan was to bring his bishop over to h3 to control this very important diagonal, and he could also play knight a5 in due time, attack the bishop, and he could also bring his queen over to f4. So all these three pieces would be attacking the king. So that was Kasparov's plan. So obviously Topalov wanted to avoid that, so he plays king b8. So now we have knight a5 attacking the bishop. So Topalov plays bishop a8. So obviously playing bishop c8 would be a blunder, because then you would have knight c6 forking the king and the queen. So then we have bishop h3. So Kasparov, as planned, is now controlling this very strong diagonal, and in one move white's bishop has become very active. So we have d5 as planned by Topalov. So Kasparov plays queen f4 check, king goes to a7, and then Kasparov plays rook e1. So over here Topalov plays d4, and over here he feels he's in a pretty good situation. And what Kasparov plays here is a pretty unique move, because the immediate move would be to go back to knight e2, but Kasparov plays knight d5. So he wants to exchange one of the knights, and he wants to gain tempo and attack the queen as well. So after knight captures, we have e into d5, attacking the rook as well with tempo, so the queen has to move. So queen goes to d6. So you can see that this pawn is right now dislocated at the moment, and black wouldn't mind a queen exchange, because this pawn would eventually be lost, as it is an isolated pawn, and this would be an easy win for black. So the next move is apparently the most brilliant move, which Topalov himself did not foresee. So we have Kasparov playing rook into d4. Damn! Now the entire idea behind rook into d4 was played only because this rook was there on h8, and we'll figure that out in due time. So Kasparov plays rook into d4. Now, as per the computer suggests us to play king b6, and black would be in a pretty good position. But obviously you can see this is a rook sacrifice, and Topalov would obviously capture the rook irrespective of what Kasparov has in mind. So Topalov takes the rook, and now we are in for a very special game. We have rook e7, which is a brilliant move by Kasparov, because if queen captures, then we have an instant mate where you have queen into d4 check, king b8, queen b6 check, bishop b7. We have knight c6 check, where the bishop cannot capture, then king a8, then you have queen a7 checkmate. So that's pretty deadly, and it's an instant mate. So obviously the king goes to b6. So then we have queen into d4 check, so king takes the knight, and then we have b4 check, and the king goes to a4. So at this point the king is basically just running.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
King has nowhere to go, and king is just running at the moment. And now we have queen c3. So white is threatening mate on b3. So to avoid that, Topalov plays queen into d5, and we have rook a7. Now white is threatening mate with rook into a6. So you cannot play rook d6, because if that happens, then we have a very deadly move, which is king b2. So now white is again threatening mate at b3, because after queen captures you have c into b3, which is checkmate. So then black would play queen d4, and then if queen captures, and if rook captures, then you would have rook into a6, which is again checkmate. So the only defense for this is bishop e7. So white takes the bishop. Obviously the queen cannot take the rook. If that happens, you have queen b3 checkmate. So then we have queen c4. So black desperately wants an exchange, but Kasparov doesn't allow it, so he plays queen into f6. Again, he is threatening mate with queen into a6. So the king has to move. So black plays king into a3. Then we have queen into a6. We have king into b4. And now we have c3, which is the brilliant move which Topalov did not apparently see when white played rook into d4. So this was the move that Topalov missed, and had he seen this, he would have probably played king b6. So over here, obviously, you cannot capture with the queen. So if that happens, you have rook queen into b5, and that's checkmate. You cannot do anything. So the only move would be king into c3. And now we have a very deadly move, which is queen a1 check. So then you have king d2. Then we had queen b2 check, king d1, and over here you'd feel that white is out of attacking options, but then Kasparov plays bishop f1, a brilliant move attacking the queen as well as threatening mate in a way. So if queen captures, then we have instant mate. So if queen captures the bishop, then we have queen c1, king e1, rook e7 check, and that's checkmate. So Topalov comes up with an attacking move and he plays rook d2. So now he's attacking the queen as well, but then Kasparov counterattacks with rook d7, pinning the rook. So now he cannot capture the queen, so he plays rook into d7. So we have bishop taking the queen, and over here again white is attacking this rook. So if this rook moves, probably rook e8 to prevent a mate over here, white would still win by playing queen c1 mate. So you can see that black is forced to capture the bishop because white is threatening mate next move. So we have bishop b into c4, and now we have queen into h8, which I had mentioned earlier, that this rook into d4 idea only worked because the rook was there on h8, and now white has the better exchange. So black can't do much, so black plays rook d3. We have queen a8, we have c3, queen a4 check, king e1, f4, f5, king c1. So now the c3 pawn will never get promoted at all. We have rook d2 attacking the h2 pawn. We have queen a7. So if rook does capture, then we have queen g1 check, and then the rook will be gone. And it is at this moment that Topalov resigned the match. So I hope you all enjoyed the game. Please do like and subscribe to my channel. I have only started out recently, and it would help me a lot if you would like and subscribe. So thank you.